All right, welcome to the third episode of Last Take. Before we start, make sure you subscribe to Last Take, our YouTube channel. Also, make sure to like the video and comment below. All that other fun YouTube stuff. Nick, we'll start with the World Series recap. Obviously, the big news from Game 6 was Snell getting pulled very early by Kevin Cash. What are your first thoughts on that?
I mean, personally, I was happy to see it. I was obviously rooting against the Rays, considering they took out the Yankees. It was good to kind of see analytics blow up in their face a little bit because you had a guy who was absolutely cruising. The top three of the Dodgers order was 0 for 6 with 6 strikeouts against Snell the first 2 times through. So the fact that they didn't let him face them again with 73 pitches and he was rolling was pretty funny. But at the end of the day, I don't know, like Kevin Cash was getting killed for it. I was definitely piling on. I thought it was pretty funny, but like at the end of the day, following the analytics like that and making decisions like not letting a guy face the order a third time, no matter how good he's rolling, is what got them to Game 6 of the World Series. So like I don't know how much I'm gonna knock them. I think it does confirm the belief that most people have that analytics are great. You look at the Dodgers, the Rays, they're two very analytically driven teams. Analytically, that's a hard word to say.
I
But
think it's grammatically right.
yeah, I'll figure it out. But you look at those teams, and yes, they use a lot of analytics, but I think at the end of the day, you still need to use your gut a little bit of feel for the game. Because I think the worst part was not so much that they pulled Snell, because as bad as that was, like you could kind of see where they're coming from when you have a bullpen. But with how Anderson was going that series, he really didn't look nearly as good. So I think that putting him in probably, or I can't even say probably, it definitely wasn't the right move. But I don't know. Props to the Dodgers. I thought they were the better team. I mean, you look at the Rays lineup. Rosarena was really their only guy producing. So, Cash is going to get killed for that. In some ways, rightfully so. But at the end of the day, that's what got them there, and he decided to stick with it, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, I'll give my take, but I want to note that I'm wearing the shirt for the Durham Bulls. This is the AAA affiliate for the Rays, so there's a connection there. Cool stadium. I suggest everyone get down to North Carolina one time, check it out.
No,
But going off that, yeah, terrible stadium actually. Going off that, I'm just not a big fan of pulling the starter. In general, I know that that's how the Rays have done business all year. But I tweeted it out too. I just think that pulling a starter, especially in a big game like that, and when the starter is doing so like outwardly well, like there was no doubt in my mind, oh he's missing some spots here. Like no, Snell was electric. It pulling the starter in a situation like that, even just getting a guy on base, it gives the team unlimited energy. And you saw that right away with the Dodgers. They saw Snell out. They're like, let's go. Like now, like we're in their bullpen. I don't care that it's their strength. It's just a different mindset. Whether that bullpen is your strongest suit, you just feel like, okay, things are starting to go in our direction, or whether even if it's not in your direction, things are different, and we can hop on that opportunity. So I mean, obviously, everyone knows the decision was bad, but I mean, I think there's a few different levels of that. Obviously the analytical aspect, the game aspect, and then obviously just the feel aspect. Like it just changes momentum. It's like punting, So it just a bad decision. But I was happy to see Kershaw get his. We said this last time, but I'm just a big Kershaw guy. He's one of the legends of the game. People have given him a bad rep for a long time, and him getting the chance to win 2 games in the World Series was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think when people look back at this generation, there's going to be 3 pitchers who stood out in terms of starting pitchers. It's going to be Clayton Kershaw, Justin Verlander, and Max Scherzer. Scherzer and Verlander already both had rings that they got in the past few seasons. So, I think that now this solidifies Kershaw as the best pitcher of this generation. Not that him not having a championship should have meant that he wasn't the best pitcher of the generation. I do think that people could have held it against him, but it's nice to see now he's got that ring, monkey off his back. I was just really, real happy to see that for him.
And good news for Dave Roberts too, who can kind of turn off his heated seats. If he didn't win this year, I mean, I think that would they have maybe taken his job away? I don't know. I mean, he's been a successful manager, but I mean, you've had a elite roster for 3 years now. I'm glad to see him stick around because you're not going to fire him now, obviously.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
his job was going to be on the line if he didn't win this year.
Absolutely.
Good manager. I think he's overall a good dude. So kudos to him too. So I thought it was a really exciting World Series. Got to see the best of the best, and Dodgers were clearly number one.
For sure.
All right, so moving on to the NFL. Truth be told, we're filming this Sunday night while the Cowboys and Eagles play because I don't think anyone feels like watching a ton of third down incompletions for 3 hours and 30-yard field goals. So we're saying that game is pretty much already over regardless of who wins. So let's start with the Steelers and Ravens. That was supposed to be the big matchup of the week. I think it pretty much lived up to the hype. The Steelers jumped out to an early lead. Lamar picked 6. And the rest of the game was kind of back and forth for the most part. Lamar, 2 picks overall. Dobbins is starting to take over that starting spot. He had, I think, 12 carries for like 115 yards. So, I mean, he's really shown that he's a stud. But Steelers' final was 28-24.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, J.K. Dobbins is definitely a beast. I watched him a lot last year at Ohio State, so I think that he'll end up gaining that starting job sooner rather than later. Lamar definitely didn't look great today. Made a couple mistakes with those picks, and he's a tough guy to get a read on because the majority of what you see from him is elite. Like he was the MVP last year. There's no doubt. Like this guy had all the physical tools to be a great quarterback, but then you just see him melt in big situations. I mean, the 2 playoff losses are bad. He was not great today. I think if he honestly plays halfway decent, then, they win that game. And Ben Roethlisberger had, a strong second half, but there was nothing the Steelers did in my mind that really jumped out off the page at you. But I think that Steelers defense is really good. And it wouldn't surprise me if this was a matchup we ended up seeing somewhere down the line in the playoffs because I do think both of these teams have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, it's you bring up a good point that it's really weird with Lamar. It's like he is possibly the best player in football when he plays like an okay team. But the second he's got to play someone who's a notch above maybe his team too. It feels like he sort of just kind of gets quiet, like he's not that electric player anymore. I don't know if it's not like a lack of clutch gene, but I just feel like he gets scared of the moment, and I feel like he doesn't want to make a mistake. Like he's afraid of being a bust, like he's like afraid of being the guy that like can't come through. So and I think that you're starting to see that coming to his play. I mean, 0-2 in the playoffs. He loses to the Chiefs every year, and now the Steelers, the other big AFC team. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I mean, I think you're right that we're going to see them again in the AFC. But moving on to the another big game. Well, not even a big game, and no one really thought much of it. Was the Titans-Bengals. I'm pretty sure everyone had them in their can't lose parlay. And I mean, the Titans look bad, and the Bengals looked really good. And I think everyone's kind of wondering if the truth is Giovanni Bernard. Is he the man in Cincinnati?
Giovanni Bernard was that guy in fantasy where like every year he would be listed as a sleeper in mock drafts. Like this is the year Giovanni Bernard's breaking out. So no, it is wild to see him still playing, let alone playing well. Joe Burrow is an absolute stud. To be honest with you, I wasn't sure how he would fare this year. I mean, obviously he had one of the great, all-time college seasons at LSU last year, but that was surrounded by a ton of talent. That LSU team was absolutely stacked. So I was like, is he the kind of guy that's going to go into the league and just take over the Bengals, who for the most part are pretty untalented and do anything? And he's
outside receiver.
Great.
Yeah.
He's looks great. I think he's definitely the truth. Titans, yeah, they like you said, they were in my can't lose parlay, which spoiler alert lost. I don't know. They're just one of these teams I can't get a read on. I don't know if they're contenders or pretenders. Like you can tell me that they're going to go back to the AFC Championship game. I believe you. You could tell me they're going to collapse and miss the playoffs. I believe.
Yeah, I mean,
they could go in either or direction at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't. I don't even know if it starts with Ryan Tannehill, because I feel like you'd pretty much know what he is. If he plays a good game, they're going to win. But, like, I don't think you really need him to play anything great. I mean, you saw them be successful in the playoffs. He wasn't, like throwing for, like, 6 touchdowns. You know, he wasn't no Patrick Mahomes. And Derrick Henry was good too. So, you know, you kind of wonder where it is that they fall apart. I think they got to find their identity if they really want to, you know, compete and find themselves, you know, being successful in the AFC. Mm-hmm. Moving on to the next big rivalry game was the Seahawks 49ers. Unfortunately, this was, even though it was only 10 points by the end, I think it was kind of a boring game in general. Seahawks pretty much had command of it the whole time. And Nick, we were saying this earlier. Russ just chooses one person every game who he just wants to throw the ball to, and that's it. They're going to get 12 catches. They're going to get 150 yards. They're probably going to get 3 touchdowns. And it's just like it's either Tyler Lockett or it's DK Metcalf, and then sometimes every now and then it's David Moore. So it's a weird.
I really want to go back and look in the last 2 seasons how many games Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf have both scored a touchdown in, because it's got to be like I would say like twice tops. It never happens. Yeah. Like last week, I had Lockett go off for 55 points for me and won a game I had no business in winning. And today I'm going up against Metcalf, and he's literally throwing the ball to him every single play. So, yeah, it was such a typical Seahawks game, so boring. You know, it was close, but not really. They have a running back who I've never heard of before getting the ball on every carry. It's just Russ doing Russ things. This was a pretty lame game for the Seahawks. This was one of the ones where they were ahead the whole time and ended up not blowing it, but like kind of letting the team hang around. It's way more fun when it's close the whole time or they're behind and they have to let Russ do crazy shit. Those are the entertaining Seahawks games.
Well, this was more fun for me as a Seahawks fan. I got to relax and not feel like I had to pull my hair out every 10 plays. But, you know, glad for the win. 6-2 now. You know, at the top, 6-1. I'm sorry, 6-1 at the top of the division. So feeling pretty good about that. I'm glad to see the 49ers losing 2, big division game, big win.
Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl. I still believe that they're going to the Super Bowl.
I wouldn't be opposed. I hate saying that they're going to do it. I never picked the Seahawks to make it to the Super Bowl because it's a jinx. It feels like an automatic jinx. So I will never agree with you up until the moment they're physically in the Super
Bowl. Seahawks, Chiefs.
Packers, Chiefs. Another big game. The Chargers blew another lead to the Broncos. I thought this immediately. It's like the Falcons and Chargers literally just switch weeks of when they want to blow games. The Falcons didn't blow a lead this week, so the Chargers did. It's like they have like these late night meetings where they just pull straws and be like, all right, you're gonna have a lead in the third quarter and you're gonna blow it. Oh, I got the short straw. You got to do it this week. Like it's like one week. It's one of them blowing a game.
The Falcons are the 1:00 team on Red Zone that blows the lead, and then you go to the 4:30 game, and that's the Chargers on the West Coast. Like we had the 2 screens set up today. And we didn't even have the Chargers game on. Like I think we watched for a little bit during the Seahawks halftime, and they were up big. And it's like, wow, Justin Herbert's a stud. The Broncos are terrible. Like Drew Lock, like maybe he was a bust. And then you look up, it's like, oh shit, like Chargers lost. So that team, if you're a Chargers fan, I don't know how you do it. You definitely also don't live in Los Angeles. You live in San Diego. I'm honestly convinced no one in Los Angeles even realized they got football franchises, and anyone who did is definitely a Rams fan. So if you're a Chargers fan, just give it up. Like they left San Diego. Your team stinks.
I don't think anyone would blame you for jumping the wagon on the Chargers. I mean, it is
I blame you for staying.
Yeah, after LT, what was the point?
Yeah.
The next big game, honestly, not even a big game. It was actually a huge stinker. Was the Raiders-Browns. I mean, the win there resulted in a 16-6 football game. There was like 3 missed field goals, and it was literally like just going directly left every time. It was literally like hurricane winds in 2K6. It was absolutely crazy. Obviously, I bet the over of 48, and the final total was 22. So I didn't even get half.
Yeah, so I blind bet the over this morning. I saw the Browns and the Raiders, and my fingers just made the bet for me. I had to take the over. Didn't come anywhere close to hitting. Love to see John Gruden get the win, though. He did scare me at the end. So when they were up 7 with like 4.5 minutes left in the fourth, they had 4th and goal. and he sent the offense out there. And I was like, is this son of a bitch going to go for it instead of just making it a 2-possession game with 4 minutes left? But they ended up I think they were just trying to get him off sides, and they kicked the field goal. But I was like, John Gruden, if he had one too many Corona Lights last night at Hooters, he may go for this. So I wasn't 100% sure. But I love to see them get the win. Browns, we can put the are they better without Odell conversation on hold until their next win.
I feel like the Raiders are like the opposite of the Titans, in the fact that the Titans are like the good team that you can't figure out, and the Raiders are the bad team that you can't figure out. Like I don't know what to think of them each week. Like I just assume they're bad, but they just keep pulling off wins. So I mean, I couldn't even begin to tell you. John Gruden has got some type of magic going on.
Here's what it is. The Titans are the bad, good team. So they're a good team, but like they're bad in the sense that they don't consistently win the games they should win. The Raiders are a good, bad team where they're bad and you don't expect a lot from them, but then they'll pull it off sometimes. So that's really the difference there.
I think that's the magic of John Gruden.
I love John Gruden so much.
Electric person.
Knock on wood if you're with me.
Yeah. All right. I think those were all the big NFL matchups we wanted to cover. Nick, you want to talk about Rutgers too? Yeah.
So Rutgers yesterday, they lost, which doesn't matter. The haters are saying that matters, but I'm not a win-loss column guy when it comes to Rutgers football. I'm more of a direction kind of guy. So yesterday they had actually one of the craziest lateral plays that I've ever seen.
Watch out. Still no whistle. Shameen Jones cuts it back inside. He's just tripped up. Ball still live. Vedral still keeps it going. Watch out! There are no whistles. There are no flags. This counts. Bo Melton on the business end of the most amazing play you may ever see.
It was called back, though, because Dean Blandino and all these rules expert losers noted that there was actually technically a forward lateral. Look, Rutgers is going to lose the game anyway, all right? Play was insane. It's Rutgers. Greg Schiano's first game home. Just let that stand, Big Ten. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? It's a pandemic. You're not calling a forward lateral on that play. You just can't. So literally thousands and thousands of Rutgers fans went to bed even more miserable than we should have been last night because the Big Ten hates fun.
Noted.
All right, so look, guys, we don't get political on this show. We said we weren't going to talk about it. I'm sure you're seeing it everywhere. This video comes out on Tuesday. I'm sure it's all over Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, whatever you're watching today, whatever you're scrolling. I'm sure you're seeing this story. But I just had to say something. I did have to urge you guys to get out and vote. This is the most important election of our lifetime. So please, when you get a chance, do it today. Vote for the all MLB team because this is essential. They're putting it in our hands, due to the 60-game shortened season, to select one player at every position. I believe it's 5 starting pitchers, 2 relief pitchers, in addition to the position players. We have a chance to mold and shape this league for years to come based on your vote today. So please, I'm urging you guys, go to MLB.com, vote for who you think is deserving, because at the end of the day, it's not the sports writers who are in charge of this. It's not the players. It's not the owners. It's us, the fans. So we're the ones that's going to affect. We're the ones that are supposed to make a difference. So please get out there and vote.
Yeah, and make sure that you vote because your voice matters. If you don't, we could let analysts for years think that Jose Iglesias belongs in the elite shortstop conversation. That can't happen.
Mm-hmm. Nope. So dangerous, especially if you're in a swing state like New York. You're going to look at Luke Voigt or Dom Smith, who was the better first baseman this year. You got to go out and make sure your voice is heard because it's extremely dangerous if you're going to talk about a left-handed first baseman on a team like the Mets, a right-handed first baseman that led the league in homers on a team like the Yankees. You got to vote for which guy you think is going to be better.
Yeah, and don't fill it out like a joke. I know Lance Lynn earned his spot on the ballot no matter how much he has sucked in the past. He was good this year, and he deserves a fair chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, guys, please fill it out. Take it seriously. It's super, super important. It's in our hands.
We're passionate about it.
We're very passionate about it. And, you want this to be something where, we can accept the results fully, and you can't complain if your guy doesn't win if you didn't vote. So we're going to need you to get out and vote. Please vote. No Astros fans, though.
This is, yeah. Oh, yeah. No Astros.
No Astros fans.
This isn't the Pro Bowl. This actually means something.
This means everything to our nation.
Thank you.
Thank you.